Charles heads over to DC to talk to various senators and lawmakers about crypto policy. Let's find out exactly what he's up to, who he's speaking to, and how his actions could affect the entire crypto industry, not just for the US, but for the world. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thumbs up, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that really helps with the YouTube algorithm and of course, keeps you guys up to date with everything that's happening in the crypto space. Charles is making big moves here. He is heading over to DC, and if there's anyone that can speak to the various lawmakers, senators, and all the high-ups in government, it is definitely Charles. So far, we know that he's had a meeting with Senator Scott, and it seems like a very good conversation so far. Charles also appeared on Bloomberg's The China Show to talk about how he's going to be working with the policymakers and whatnot. But let me play you the clip here itself so that you guys can have a bit of an idea of what's going on here.
You take a look at some of the gains, though, we've had across the landscape. And yeah, Bitcoin's risen around 46 or 47%. But that line in white there is Cardano, which has actually far outpaced it. It's a gain of nearly 100% since the vote back in early November. So
I think this is really exciting to see. A lot of people are noticing with Charles's actions within Washington, D.C., that the price of Cardano is actually skyrocketing compared to Bitcoin. It could have a much bigger impact on the price of Cardano ADA as opposed to Bitcoin's BTC. So we'll see how this one pans out.
Of course, we know Doge, for instance, has really risen. That's the Elon Musk link. The reason Cardano perhaps is rising, or one of the factors being attributed to it, is because the founder of the token, Charles Hoskinson, reports speculation in the markets. Perhaps he's having close talks with some US lawmakers.
May play a role.
May play a role. We want to speak with him now. Yeah. Charles Hoskinson, co-founder and CEO of Input Output. And as we said, the founder of the public blockchain platform Cardano. And Charles, we want to get started with these talks. I know you had an Ask Me Anything session the other day saying that you'd had these discussions ongoing. Talk us through exactly what those discussions look like and who are you speaking to in particular?
Well, there's a lot of things going on right now. It's anytime there's a presidential transition, it's a very complex affair. And actually, the Treasury Secretary has yet to be selected, and they're kind of winnowing down. So that sets all crypto policy. So right now, most of the discussions are with the legislative branch. I'm having dinner tomorrow with Senator Scott, and I've talked to numerous senators who are in the banking sector, basically figuring out how the regulation is going to work. And we've had some discussions with people transition team about what they want to do with a crypto committee. And if it's going to be a czar or if it's a commission and what exact powers and how exactly does that work? And it's not exactly clear in how it's set up on the executive side, but on the legislative side, it's very clear what they want is to pass a law. So there were several attempts already in 2023. FIT 21 was the most successful, which passed the House, but it did not enter the Senate. And in the Senate, there was a bill in 2022 called FIA that was by Senator Lummis and Senator Gillibrand. So right now there's some reconciliation of what does the executive branch want? What does the legislative branch want? What we've been told by the executive branch is Trump has a mandate that he wants America to be the #1 place to found and run a cryptocurrency business. There were also several campaign promises they're trying to connect to. For example, the strategic reserve for Bitcoin concept that also Senator Lummis is a big fan of. And there's a lot of things around asset classification that have to get resolved. The security commodity debate and what power should be reserved for the CFTC and the SEC. So it's still very early days, and we'll know a lot more in 60 to 90 days about how much level of broad industry participation is going to occur at the executive branch side. But we're already in talks with many people on the legislative side, and they're going to move forward as a co-equal branch of government with or without the executive branch to pass a law.
Now, there is a lot more to this interview as well, but I'll leave links down below for you guys so you can check it all out and listen to what Charles has to say. But there's a couple of things that he does mention here. One is the crypto czar, the main person that's going to be in charge, and also the bullish notion of that Bitcoin reserve as well. So I'll just point a couple of things out of that. But he did put out a statement about everything that he's looking forward to and trying to push in Washington and with the White House. So first off, his nomination or his recommendation that Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, be this crypto czar, or the main person that is the point person, the person that is in charge of everything as being pushed forward for the crypto industry. Coinbase has grown into one of the pillars of crypto and has had to endure unfair tactics of the government committed to regulation through enforcement. So this is all the court cases and whatnot that Coinbase had to go through in regards to the SEC and all sorts of things because of the strong arm tactics of the SEC. Hopefully we can see a lot of that reversed, and Brian Armstrong, I think personally, is a very good candidate for this. But Charles is looking at rallying the crypto industry behind all of this movement so we can actually move forward as a crypto industry globally. So this is really important. And I'll just read out this bit here of where Charles is actually focusing his efforts. For my part, having worked with the legislative branch of Wyoming to get 31 crypto laws passed, I'm focusing a ton of my effort on the House and Senate to help facilitate the legislative effort that will forever remove the abuse of the current federal government and open the floodgates for the legacy world to enter crypto. And then he states, yes, he's formally meeting with several lawmakers and will be starting a project in January out of IO policy called Operation Baseline to survey the American cryptocurrency industry to identify waste, abuse, and missed opportunities. So this is all really bullish and extremely exciting stuff. Now, Charles has started to reach out to various other crypto players, main people within the industry, and building bridges, saying sorry to many projects such as Ripple, and then reaching out to key players to see what they can actually do within this industry itself. Now, a lot of projects out there are primed for government use, and I'm pretty excited about this one because if the cryptocurrency industry can get their act together and move forward, some of these projects could be used for the e-voting platform, having blockchain behind it. And Hedera, Cardano is definitely candidates for this. I think it's really good tech, and I think it can be done. But one of the interesting things here is that all of these chains here, Cardano, Ripple, Hedera, Stellar, and Algorand, are all ISO compliant. So this meets the standards for financial messaging. This is like that swift payment messaging that we have in the world at the moment to do money transfers from one place to another. So this could be used instead of that, and it makes it really appealing there to use blockchain tech. Furthermore, the Cardano Foundation has been working really hard to ensure that Cardano is also SOC2 compliant and MiCA environmentally certified. So this meets all the standards within the European Union and also the United States. Let me play this clip here from Frederick Gregard, the CEO of the Cardano Foundation.
What we've seen is that we've been approached from sort of a couple of states in the US who are saying, hey, can you help us to do a lightweight blockchain solution to make it more transparent and accountable in how we're voting? I still sort of have to sort of look at if we can actually make this happen in the time frame they're looking at. But we also have election here in the UK. And that allows us to get closer to what's called a SOC 2 or SOC 1. Basically, this risk mitigation you need to do if you're running critical infrastructure in the current world of today. And our aspiration definitely is that we're going to work more with it. We showed this to some regulators and they got really excited because your question was, what does regulators and policymakers think, right? And they're starting to ask questions about business continuity. And when we then showed this, they were like, wow,
yeah.
Right? MiCA 1.0 already came out, and now there's a window where it has to, sort of get into effect. So the first thing you're going to see is that we're going to get environmentally certification on Cardano. The second is that MiCA actually requires a layer 1 to have an environmental certificate in order for instance, a stable coin to be issued on it and be acceptable in the European Union. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be a yearly certification. It's an international recognized thing, and the Cardano Foundation is going to pay for that and work through the technical descriptions and so forth to basically ensure that we get that running. The second thing is that we've built up a team of very experienced lawyers, and we're actually getting a little bit legal heavy on our side, to be honest. You will see there's another lawyer joining us very soon again. So we're working actively together with other layer ones on this. And for instance, when FINMA, the Swiss regulator, came out with the sort of their intent of making staking a banking activity, the industry reacted very heavily, understandable. We actually took the other approach, and we actually went there with our RegTech tool, who exactly explains how Cardano is, but also how it's different than other blockchains. And we were very happy to see that being well received there. They had a really deep understanding, and I think they're doing really good policy work in terms of clear guidelines and what you can do and not do. And they now issued their, the opinion or their view on staking, And you can see that there's a clear differentiation between blockchains who has logging or slashing or ownership chains and blockchains like Cardano who do not have a logging or slashing and is positive incentivized. So this thing's definitely, puts us in a good position. And bear in mind, I'm not.
So I'll leave that one there. I'll put a link to that full interview with the Daily Coin as well. This came out, I think it was earlier this year. So check out that interview. It goes on for about an hour, but Frederick talks all about this regulation and legal aspects for it and how far ahead Cardano is in all that respect. Now, this is some of the extremely boring part of the cryptocurrency industry. We always love to track the coins and see the price go up, but it can only go up as far as the regulations will allow it. So having the blockchains be compliant with all of these SO2 compliance, microenvironmentally certified with FINMA rules and regulations, and also accepted and pushed forward within the US government regulations, that is where we need to be at the moment. If one chain can make it through, others can make it through as well, and really push and highlight the cryptocurrency industry and legitimize it for the rest of the world. So this is really exciting pioneering stuff at the moment. And I'm so happy that Cardano Foundation have been working on this and concentrating on this boring stuff that a lot of us don't care about, but is so needed to bring this forward and make cryptocurrency and Cardano, for example, last for millennia. So this is what we're looking at, and this is what we really are after in general. Now, Charles mentioned in that interview with Bloomberg, the China show, that there is this push forward for the Bitcoin reserve, and this has been pushed forward in the Senate as well. And hopefully we do see this one come into play in the first 90 to 100 days of the Trump administration moving in. So this is something extremely bullish. And for those that don't know, the main big thing about this is that the US government is looking into buying 200,000 Bitcoin per year over a 5-year period, with a total acquisition of 1 million Bitcoins in reserve for itself. So this is really exciting stuff. Buy pressure there. So the price of Bitcoin should go up, mainly because the US government is buying it. We've also seen comments about the US selling its gold reserves for Bitcoin as well. So this is a really interesting play here. I don't know how this one's going to work out, but let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Is it right to be selling gold here for Bitcoin? Let me know what you think. One of the other flow-on effects from this Loomis bill that we may see is the allowance for companies to actually hold Bitcoin themselves. So it's not just the US government here buying Bitcoin, but also allowing other companies to buy it and put it on their balance sheets as well. So at the moment, it's counted as a liability, but being able to change that and change it to an asset is really key. So now you have all these assets. It looks completely different on your balance sheet as a company and is a lot more beneficial overall. So it's all this classing and clarification that really needs to be done. And this is the type of work that Charles will be doing within the US government. So hopefully we see a lot of that push through and we see this baseline project really come into play. Some other really exciting news about the Cardano ecosystem is that the draft constitution for the Cardano ecosystem is out. So those that aren't up to speed with everything that's happening in Cardano is going into its governance era. So now we have a constitution on how we are to operate and govern ourselves as a community. So now the community is going to take over the Cardano ecosystem. We'll be able to do treasury withdrawals. And within this constitution, there's all different ways of how we should operate and conduct ourselves as a community as well. So this is a really exciting moment for the Cardano community. And we've recently had over 65 workshops around the world. And from each one of those workshops, 2 people have been appointed as representatives for each one of those countries, those different areas, and will be converging on Argentina for a big constitutional convention where all the input from everyone around the world will be put towards this final draft constitution. So this is a really exciting moment for the Cardano ecosystem. There have been a couple of visa issues. Some people from various countries can't make it to Argentina. So there are some backup plans coming into play here at the moment. I know from helping out organizing various global events in the past life, I've had issues with this as well. So trying to get people from Sierra Leone over to Germany, for example, was almost impossible. Those visas took months and months to approve. And this whole constitutional event process was done over a 3 to 6 month period. So it's been very hard to get people approved. So unfortunately, from what I've heard, a lot of people won't be able to make it, but there may be alternative event locations to try and get this constitutional committee working globally. So we'll see how this one plays out, but it's a very exciting time for the Cardano community. We've also had a governance action put on chain to change the next hard fork from Chang 2 to the Plomin hard fork in honor of Matthew Plomin, who just passed away recently. So hopefully this one does get passed. So far, it does look like a unanimous yes on this one, with absolutely no one voting no or abstain at the moment. So this is a very good move in memory of Matt. And the last thing I wanted to mention here was this absolutely stunning piece of artwork that was in the background of Charles here. This piece of artwork here, I had to look it up. I saw it and it really reminded me of Klimt, one of my favorite artists, and his style and the colors and the vividness and everything. But this piece was called Hades, and I thought I'd just look it up, look up the artist and see what she's up to. But, you know, Charles likes to buy brilliant art pieces from artists around the world. And this here is by Iris Scott. I had a look at some of her other pieces and they're absolutely stunning stuff. So if you want to try and get one of these prints, it is possible. So you can get a copy of it or a copy of some of the other art pieces that Iris has done. Maybe one day us mere mortals, when the price of ADA goes up to $6 or $8 per token, we'll be able to get one of these art pieces for ourselves. But not at this point in time, maybe not anytime soon. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this podcast episode. It's really exciting to see what Charles is up to at the moment and how he's spearheading this movement within the Senate and with the lawmakers and all that. So we'll see what comes out of this. I'll keep you guys up to date. So make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe notification bell on your way out so you get kept up to date with everything that's happening here. If you also want a place to stake your ADA, check out my stake pool. Ticker name is ADAOZ. Check that out. Really appreciate everyone that's already staked to my pool. Absolutely love you guys. I'll see you all in the next video.